Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Draper and today we'll be talking about flock cameras and how these cameras are taking away our freedoms and slowly and systematically through government takeover helping the police surveil our every move. This is dangerous and we need to be aware of it. So let's get straight into it.
We started Flock to eliminate nonviolent crime, and that's because 87% of crime goes unsolved throughout the US. It's not due to a lack of trying on the law enforcement side, it's because there's a lack of evidence. So we asked police across the nation, what is that critical factor that can help you solve more crime? And we heard time and time again, license plates are the critical missing piece.
70% of major crimes are committed with a vehicle, and license plates give police the lead they need to actually solve crime. And we saw that there was technology on the market that could solve that evidence gap, but the technology was large, very expensive. There was something that could work, but just didn't fit the need. We solved those problems with solar power, integrated cellular, and modern electronics to make the camera small and affordable so we can put this powerful technology in the hands of a regular neighborhood.
I'm going to talk about the Flock surveillance camera, those little tiny black boxes that you may see going up in your neighborhood. I'll share with you the capability of the Flock camera system, how it detects people and vehicles, and why you should be relatively alarmed about these going up in your neighborhood. If you're a concerned citizen, somebody worried a bit about mass surveillance in your neighborhoods, you may want to watch this episode of Off Air, and if you like the content, make sure you click like and subscribe. I'm federal criminal defense attorney Ron Chapman. Today we're going to talk about the Flock surveillance system, why the Supreme Court is allowing it, why many municipalities are approving it, and why many protests have sparked across the nation related to this surveillance. Once we dive deep into the technology, I'm sure you're going to find that this is not what meets the eye, and there's much more to look at when it comes to the Flock surveillance system. For those of you who read a lot, Machiavelli laid out in The Prince that a ruler must sometimes appear as a lion and sometimes as a fox. But as we'll see today, the cleverest predators don't roar or sneak. They wear the uniform of the protector. They arrive promising order, safety, and the common good while quietly building the machinery to watch, catalog, and control every subject who steps in the open.
These flock cameras give the appearance of safety, but the appearance is not exactly what it seems to be. They are trying to track your every move so they can know everything about you, every inch of your life, everywhere you're going, everything you buy through, your credit cards and your Amazon account and all of your accounts. They want to know everything you're doing. This is just an added thing that they want to use to track us in every aspect of our life.
That's the oldest trick in the Book of Power. First, I'd like to tell you a bit about Flock Safety and why you should be concerned. Flock Safety is an Atlanta outfit founded in 2017. It's exploded into a national surveillance empire, boasting over 90,000 solar-powered, cellular-connected cameras hooked into networks, serving more than 5,000 law enforcement agencies across 49 states. The company claims they perform over 20 billion scans of vehicles every single month. The flagship hardware, the Falcon LR, SR, and Flex models use infrared night vision and machine learning algorithms to capture not just your license plate, including all 50 states plus Canada and Mexico, but a full vehicle fingerprint, the make, model, color, body, type, decals, bumper stickers, roof racks, ladder racks, dents, even the absence of a plate altogether. No plate, no problem, according to Flock Freeform. This is a natural language AI processor that allows you to search for certain types of vehicles if you're law enforcement. The system spits back hits across an entire national database. Now, this platform, Flock OS, runs on Amazon Web Server's cloud with a default 30-day retention, meaning that it keeps the files for 30 days before getting rid of it. It has real-time hot list alerts if you have a be on the lookout out tied to NCIC, the government database that tracks people's movements.
Why is this information being sifted through NCIC, which is a criminal database for criminals? Most of the people out there are just upstanding citizens trying to get to work, trying to take their kid to soccer practice, trying to do the mundane things in life. And then they have to worry about this on top of everything else, that their information is being sifted into a database where it could be used against us later. We should all be concerned about this, and we should all understand that this is not for criminals. This is for us.
The company itself admits that one nationwide query can ping more than 83,000 cameras at once. Video feeds and live clips are rolling out as we speak. It doesn't just detect license plates, it detects people. These black mechanical ravens are starting to dot your landscape. This database that has been developed indefinitely includes you and your personal movements. Now imagine this, you roll out of your driveway at 7:12 in the morning, same as always, headed to work, to the store, to drop the kids off at school. The flock is perched overhead, it tracks your movements, it reads your plate, it snaps the make, model, color, the stickers, even the dent from the last winter. It builds your complete vehicle fingerprint and logs the exact timestamp and GPS coordinate. 30 days of your life at every intersection, every errand, every predictable pattern, stored, searchable, shareable. No warrant, no probable cause, no knock at your door. You're not a suspect, you're just driving. You're just going about your normal day. But Flock doesn't care, it circles anyway. It takes pictures of you, it records you, it tracks your movements because it can. Because Flock has been allowed to do so, because someone sold your municipality on the idea of safety through the Flock camera system.
If this sounds like another conspiracy, I don't think you've been paying attention, because this is something that they've been planning all along to get to the point where they can track your every single move through surveillance in every aspect of your life. Think about everything that you have in your life and how it goes into a database, and that they can use that information against you at a later date. It sounds like a conspiracy, it sounds like a crazy theory, but think about the NSA. This is what they do. Now we have other companies like Palantir, and they're using this information against us, guys. I'm sorry to have to be the one to tell you, but let's continue.
This is Flock Safety's pitch. They went to local municipalities, local law enforcement. They said, we can track suspects. We can do the things that your cops on the road can't do. We can be your eyes in the sky. We can protect your citizens. We can store that data, and you can use that as cold, hard evidence in court. According to Flock, officers get mobile app alerts, real-time NCIC hits, and custom hot lists. The system and Flock brags about solving crimes. And sure, it may solve crimes, but it does at the expense of surveilling everyday Americans going about their business, being branded, logged, filed. And as this database grows fatter and fatter, it knows more and more about you, and it is in essentially private control. Cities learned this, and they began canceling contracts left and right. Flagstaff, Arizona voted unanimously to rip the Flock out after a privacy outcry and physically remove the cameras. Ithaca, New York killed its deal over data sharing fears. Mountain View, California discovered federal agents were dipping into their local Flock feeds without telling anyone and ran an audit and terminated the contract entirely. Santa Cruz became the first in California to sever ties. Redmond, Washington suspended operations. Oak Park, Illinois walked away. Oxnard, California paused after a vendor misconfiguration let nationwide queries, including federal agencies, access their data without approval. At least 30 municipalities, some reports now put it closer to 50, have ditched or paused Flock surveillance since early 2025.
I would just like to make note that I don't think the local municipalities are involved in this, but I do think that the data can't be controlled by them. So the federal government can just come in and take a look at whatever they want to look at and use that information against the citizens of the United States, which without a warrant isn't exactly fair to us. So again, let's continue.
Many other residents showed up to council meetings and said in plain English, "Not in my town." And there are lawsuits. The Institute for Justice sued Norfolk, Virginia on behalf of residents Lee Schmidt and Crystal Arrington after one was tracked 526 times in just 4 months by the city's 176 plus ravens. A federal judge initially let the case proceed, calling the setup notably similar to cell site location data, which the Supreme Court determined in Carpenter may require warrants. But in January 2026, The same court granted summary judgment to the city, dismissing the case brought by the people, ruling that this dragnet was constitutional under the facts of the case. You got that right. Federal judge declaring that flock surveillance is constitutional. I wonder if there was any conflict of interest there.
Ron brings up a great point here. Is there any conflict of interest? Does anybody have any money coming to them as far as the flock cameras go, or some other type of kickback? Like, it doesn't seem to me that this is fair to our citizens to be tracked 526 times based off what?
The judge warned, though, that future expansions could cross the line. Now, the plaintiffs appealed. In California, a couple of plaintiffs filed a class action lawsuit in San Francisco Superior Court in February 2026, accusing Flock of violating the state's ALPR Privacy Act by letting out-of-state federal agencies access California drivers' data more than 1.6 million times in 7 months from San Francisco's alone. 1.6 million times. I spent years in courtrooms fighting institutional overreach and on battlefields where bad intel caused a lot of problems. Sometimes a video or a feed causes a misunderstanding, and governments or its private contractors can track the wrong person, can lead to egregious constitutional violations and warrantless searches.
Next, we're going to give a breakdown of exactly how the flock camera works. And I love the way this gentleman breaks it down. So let's get straight into that clip.
Flock handles much of the installation and operates the system as a subscription service rather than merely selling a camera in a box. That architecture is one reason the system is spread so quickly. Traditional municipal camera projects become miniature public works programs involving poles, permits, power drops, fiber, network closets, and a conference room full of people debating who owns the conduit. But a self-contained solar and cellular node skips much of that. It's essentially an Internet of Things device with a badge nearby. And if you can get power to it and it's in cell range, that's all it needs. Conceptually, the image processing pipeline works much like any other modern machine vision system. First, the camera needs an exposure that freezes a moving vehicle without turning the plate into a white reflective rectangle. The software then identifies a vehicle and plate region within the frame, corrects for angle and perspective, separates the individual characters, performs optical character recognition, and normalizes the result into a candidate plate number. At the same time, additional computer vision models classify the rest of the vehicle. Is it a sedan, a pickup, an SUV, or what is it? Is it red, gray, blue, or a color best described as rental car beige? What manufacturer and model does it most resemble? Are there visible roof racks, bumper stickers, damage, or other distinguishing characteristics? Flock refers to this collection of characteristics as a vehicle signature or a vehicle fingerprint. Its current search tools can use plate numbers, partial plates, make, model, color, location, time, and natural language descriptions, such as a white sports car with a racing stripe. The company also advertises location searches, convoy analysis, hot lists, custom alerts, and real-time routing tools. Now, it matters a lot to me personally where the characterization is actually done. If it's all happening on the device using an entirely local model, I'd be both impressed and relieved. Impressed because that's a lot of AI juice to squeeze for a little box like this, and relieved because it would then mean that the images of you in your car never leave the box. If the box cannot and does not store them and they can never leave, I could give this thing a pass, but there are just two problems. First, the precise division of labor between the processor inside the camera and the software in Flock's cloud is an implementation detail that is not publicly documented deeply enough for us to draw any reliable conclusions or make even a block diagram. But insofar as I can tell, every detection is forwarded as both an image and a set of extended metadata about that image. So it's not just recording the fact that your license plate value was spotted on your blue BMW a mile from your house. It's also sending the image. This time and every time that it sees you. And that database of images and metadata is where the system stops being merely a camera and starts becoming something more like Google for cars. Suppose a convenience store camera captures a gray SUV leaving right after a robbery. The plate is unreadable, but the vehicle has a roof rack and damage to the left rear bumper. An investigator can search nearby Flock cameras for gray SUVs matching those characteristics during the relevant time window. Instead of manually watching 6 hours of footage from 20 cameras, the investigator gets a much smaller set of candidate vehicles. It doesn't prove that any of them was involved, and it does produce leads. If a plate number is already known, the search becomes much more direct. Enter the plate, and the system can return the points where the participating cameras observe that plate during the retention period.
In this news clip, we're going to show exactly what that gentleman was talking about with the tracking any old vehicle they can. This is what we're talking about when it comes to privacy. Sometimes they're getting it wrong by not doing a complete and comprehensive investigation.
Well, a mistake with new technology has led to a tense showdown between a Minnesota man and Plymouth police officers. They thought he'd stolen a $150,000 car based on bad information in the Flock system.
Fox 9's Courtney Hoggard shows us the consequences and what an innocent man's story says about the broader increase in surveillance.
Rolling around in a Range Rover is all in a day's work for automotive journalist Joel Fetter. But TheDrive.com did not sign him up for what happened when he walked out of Kohl's in Plymouth.
And I see two cop cars lit up with sirens blasting coming in the backup camera from the passenger side. Then I look to my left in the glass, and all of a sudden I see two more cop cars coming from my driver's side. So now I'm boxed and pinned in, and I got four cop cars, lights going.
Can you come out to me, please? Sure.
Fetter followed every order from wary officers.
Are you armed at all? No.
He says the officers had their hands on their holsters, but they never drew weapons, so the interaction stayed tense but manageable. And eventually an officer revealed the reason for their suspicion.
The reason you have four cops here is because your license plate is registered as stolen license plates.
Fetter had enough documentation to convince them it was not stolen, and found out he'd been on their radar for a while.
It hit on our license plate readers the other day too.
This type of surveillance should worry you. The fact that they can use it on everyday citizens without a warrant, without a proper investigation, and just walk up to a random man saying that he stole his own vehicle is quite scary and should be noted as something that could happen to you if this isn't checked.
The Supreme Court's been drawing this line for decades, and Flock walks right up to it with these mechanical ravens that it's put in the sky. One of the first cases we should talk about is Katz versus United States. The Supreme Court there ditched the old trespass-only rule and held that the Fourth Amendment protects people, not places, and that you have a reasonable expectation of privacy. And you don't forfeit that right just because you drive on a public road. Then came United States versus Knotts in 1983. There, the short-term tracking on public streets, the court said, was fine. That's not a search. But the justices in that case warned that if you're following people more than just a little bit, it may get into a search. Let's fast forward to United States versus Jones in 2012. The government slapped a GPS device on a car and tracked it for 28 days. The 9 justices agreed that that was a search, and Scalia's majority used trespass as a basis for that. The court determined that long-term pervasive tracking reveals the privacies of your life, your habits, your associations, your entire pattern of existence. Justice Sotomayor nailed it. Cheap automated surveillance changes the citizen-government relationship in ways inimical to democratic society. Later, the court ruled in Carpenter versus United States that historical cell site location data that happened over months required a warrant. Chief Justice Roberts wrote that even public movements, when aggregated, create an encyclopedic chronicle that invades the reasonable expectation of privacy that we all share. The data was comprehensive, automatic, and inescapable in that case. Sound familiar? Flock's vehicle fingerprints do exactly that. 30 days of plates, times, locations, patterns, searchable across 83,000 cameras with just a few keystrokes by law enforcement. Lower courts in cases where Flock has come up keep citing Carpenter directly. They add Kylo versus United States, a case that discusses that technology reveals details that other data may very well not and should be potentially looked at as a search. But we really haven't seen the Supreme Court decide on the overall AI surveillance picture. We certainly look forward to that.
If this video has done one thing, it should prove to you that the overall AI surveillance system is not going away. They are going to surveil us every way that they can unless we, the people, do what we can to take that back by talking to government officials, trying to handle the situation ourselves, and change these laws. In the early 2000s, in the town that I live in, they implemented a system that they put over top of red lights, and if you went through the red light, you would get a ticket, and that ticket would be issued to you in the mail, and you would have to pay that ticket regardless of if it was you driving or someone else was driving your vehicle. Over time, the state that I live in found that that was unconstitutional, and they took that away. That was a fight that the people of the state that I live in really took up hard and fought to get the cameras taken down. But now we have just been issued another form of that in a worse form, where they're going to track us, keep the data for 30 days, and use it sometimes in the wrong way to go after citizens that are not doing anything wrong. That should offend us and really, quite frankly, scare some of us, that they could be showing up at your door, guns drawn, for something that you did not do. So I hope that this video helps you understand flock cameras and why it's important for us as citizens to take control of this situation now before it gets worse. I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and God bless.